denomination, usually coins. Penny, penny, easily spent, copper brown and worth 1 cent. That kind of change. And then there's the change that means to undergo transformation or transition. That kind of change falls into 2 categories. There's intentional change, you know, when you decide to take an action, when you decide to make change happen, and inevitable change. Every moment in life is different than the one before it and the one after it. I am a woman of a certain age, and in these last few years, I've experienced some pretty significant changes in my life. I live here in New Jersey, and when we first moved here, we didn't know the area very well, so we decided to rent a house instead of buy. And we rented the loveliest, sweetest little house. This roof keeps me dry when the rain falls. This door helps to keep the cold at bay. On this floor I can stand on my own 2 feet. rented house, there was this huge, gorgeous picture window in the living room. You could look out of it and see all the green, the grass and the trees. You could see the kids playing, and it let in so much light. On these walls I hang wonderful pictures. Through this window I can watch the seasons change. By this lamp I can breathe. I am set free. And when it's cold outside, I feel no fear. Even in the winter storms, I am warmed by a small but stubborn fire. And there is nowhere I would rather be. It isn't much, but it is enough for me. It isn't much, but it is enough. I loved my little house. And after living in it for a couple of years, we decided to ask the owners if they'd be willing to sell. Unfortunately, they were not. But as luck would have it, our next door neighbors were just about to put their house on the market. So we went knocking on their door saying, hey, we're in the market for a house. And that's the house we bought. That's the house we live in to this day. And here's the cool thing about these two houses. They faced each other rather than facing the street. So I could look out my kitchen window and see my house. This is my house. This is my house. It isn't much, but it is enough for me. This is my house. This is my house. It isn't much, but it is enough. And when it's cold and bleak, I feel no fear. Even in the fiercest storms, I am warmed by small but stubborn fire. Even when outside it's freezing, I don't pay much heed. I know that everything I need is in here. It isn't much, but it is enough for me. It isn't much, but it is enough. So, eventually, my little house did get sold a couple of times. And the most recent owners decided to tear it down. Not because it was dilapidated. No. It was very well kept. They tore it down because they wanted a bigger house. I'm just glad I wasn't there to witness the bulldozing. I came home one afternoon and the house was just gone. The only thing left standing was the chimney. Talk about a change. And when I saw that, I ran upstairs and cried. It isn't much, but it is enough for me. The tearing down of my little house, well, it's what put me on the path to creating this show. So, this show is the gift. This show is the blessing from that change. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. The Serenity Prayer. I feel like I've known that prayer my whole life. My dad was a longtime member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and he used to take me and my brothers to AA meetings all the time when we were kids. I have so many wonderful memories of my dad, one of which really was to go to those AA meetings and, well, eating far too many cookies and donuts. Another incredible, wonderful memory of my father was singing in the car. Mares eat oats and does eat oats and little lambs eat ivy. A kid'll eat ivy too, wouldn't you? Or little boxes on the hillside, and they're all made out of ticky-tacky little boxes, and they all look just the same. And then there's the Erie Canal song. I've got no mule and her name is Sal, 15 miles on the Erie Canal. A few years ago, my dad was very sick, so I went to be with him. All right, so I'm in the room with my dad. We're facing each other. He's right there in the bed. I'm holding his hands and rubbing them and clipping his fingernails and, just talking to him about what's going on in the family, chit-chatting. Like we're having a regular conversation, which we are not, because he is really quite ill. He can't open his eyes, he can't move himself in the bed, and he certainly can't speak. And even though it's pretty clear that he's nearing what undoubtedly will be the most profound change that any of us experiences, the passing from life, death. And even though, of course, there was a lot of sadness, there was still a sense of life in the air. We had the iPod hooked to two speakers, and we were playing Ray Charles back to back to back, because my daddy loved him some Ray Charles. Let me tell you about a girl I know. She's my baby and she lives next door. Every morning before the sun comes up, she brings me coffee in my favorite cup. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. When I'm in trouble and I have no friend, I know she'll go with me until the end. Everybody asks me how I know. I smile and tell them that she told me so. That's why I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. And when I call her on the telephone and tell her that I'm all alone, by the time I count from 1 to 4, I hear her on my door. In the evening when the sun goes down and there's nobody else around, she kisses me and she'll hold me tight and tell me, Daddy, everything's all right. I know, yes I know, hallelujah, I just love her so. Joe Bussey on the bass.
can't speak. I don't know if he can hear me or not. And for some reason, the Erie Canal song pops into my head, so I start to sing it, nice and loud. I've got an old mule and her name is Sal. My father starts to mouth the words to the Erie Canal song. I'm like, Dad, you can hear me, you can hear me. She's a good old worker and a good old pal. We've hauled some barges in our day, filled with lumber, coal, and hay, and we know every step of the way, from Old Bunny to Buffalo. Low bridge, everybody down. Low bridge, 'cause we're coming to your town. And you'll always know your neighbors, always know your pals, if you ever navigated on the Erie Canal. So I got to experience all of this the night before my father died. How lucky am I? Lucky to be my father's daughter. Lucky to be my children's mother. I have 3 kids, 3 sons. And a few years ago, one of my sons was about 16 years old. And we were in the kitchen, and I was asking him some questions. And I wanted some answers. And I think from his perspective, he felt like I was just too much into his business. And he said to me, what are you gonna do when we're all gone? Meaning, when the kids are all grown and gone. And I said, I'm gonna party. And he said, no, really? What are you gonna do? I looked that boy dead in the eye and I said, I'm gonna party! And he was not amused. Fast forward a few years, and the children are all gone. And I found myself in a house that used to be filled with children and the noise and life. And now it was big and empty and way too quiet. And it didn't help that my husband works out of town. So that first night when, I'm there by myself, the dog, Buster, is with me. And I turn the lights out downstairs, and then Buster and I, we walk upstairs, and he lays at the foot of the bed, and the lights are out, my eyes are wide open, and guess what question keeps running through my mind? The same question that my son asked me a few years before. What am I gonna do? Really? What am I gonna do? What'll I do when you are far away and I'm so blue? What'll I do? What'll I do when I am wondering how you feel just now? What'll I do I do when you are far away, and I'm so blue. What'll I do? So I'm there, all pathetic, with the dog laying at my feet, looking up at me like, well, what you gonna do? I didn't know, I don't know, I didn't know, but eventually it came to me. Let it go. Can't let this thing called love get away from you. Feel free right now. Just go do what you want to do. Can't let nobody take it away from you, from me. Away. No time for moping around. Are you kidding? No time for negative vibes, 'cause I'm winning. I gotta enjoy myself regardless. I appreciate life. I'm so glad that it's mine. So I like what I see when I'm looking at me, when I'm walking past the mirror. Don't stress through the night at a time in my life. Ain't worried about if you feel it. Got my head on straight, got my mind right. I ain't gonna let you kill it. I wouldn't change my life just fine, 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 fine. Ooh. I wouldn't change my life just fine, 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 fine. I wouldn't change my life. My life is just fine. Like I told you, I am a woman of a certain age, which means over 50. And I have a number of women friends who are over 50, women of a certain age. And I ask them questions about this time in our lives. Question number 1. What's hard about this time in your life? What's hardest about physical changes is feeling relevant and having any dignity at all left. I can see people aren't really interested in what I have to say. When I was young and moving at the speed of light verbally, with really nothing to say, people leaned in. Now, they don't even see my lips moving. I struggle with the idea that time is not unlimited. Somehow, I thought I'd be more mature by now. The hard part is shedding my identity as caregiver. I have raised my children well. They are thriving, which is what I've always wanted. But the emptiness I sometimes feel is painful and scary. Changes, turn and face the strange. Changes, don't want to be a richer woman. Changes, turn and face the strange. Changes, it's gonna have to be a different woman. Question number 2. Would you share your thoughts about how our bodies change as we get older? Menopause came to me as a gift through my hysterectomy, and it has been the absolutely best thing ever. The simple fact of not having a period anymore has been so liberating. I chose not to have any biological children, and occasionally I wonder how my life would be different if I had experienced being pregnant. When I see people I love go through that process, I marvel at what the female body can do, and I wonder how mine would have handled it. But I'll never have an answer to that question, so that part's bittersweet. Gravity is not my friend. My metabolism has deserted me. I often do not recognize myself in the mirror. What's driving me crazy, aside from the hot flashes and memory loss, I am over 50 and horny as hell. My libido is in overdrive. I'm guessing this is what it's like for teenage boys? And face the strange changes. Don't wanna be a richer woman. Turn and face the strange changes. Gonna have to be a different woman. Question number 3. What's the blessing of this time in your life? I feel a sense of reinvention. I feel like I can go in any direction I want. The blessing is I have the vision to see the 360 degrees of possibility. And I still have the physical and mental energy to move into what I see. My basket is so full. Where to start? Over 50. Feeling fearless in an odd way. Comfortable in my own skin. Kind of a take it or leave it attitude. That this is me. Comfortable with myself. Free. Over the years, I've been there, done that. Had my heart broken and rebuilt. Been lost and found and lost again. Felt abandoned and deeply loved, and many things in between. Laughed so hard my stomach hurt, and cried so hard I didn't know if I'd be able to stop. And the blessing is I'm here today to tell about it. The blessing is life itself. A part of being over 50 is having friends, family, loved ones who haven't made it this far. So I feel pretty lucky. Here's the thing. I am no longer young. This feels like the sweet spot of life to me. Strange fascinations fascinate me. Changes are taking the pace I'm going through. Turn and face the strange changes. Don't wanna be a richer woman. Turn and face the strange changes. 'Cause I have to be a different woman. Time may change me, but I can't trace time. Time may change me, but I can't change time. James Baldwin said, "For nothing is fixed, forever and forever and forever. It is not fixed. The earth is always shifting. The light is always changing. The sea does not cease to grind down the rock. Generations do not cease to be born, and we are responsible to them because we are the only witnesses they have. The sea rises, the light fails. Lovers cling to each other, and children cling to us. The moment we cease to hold each other, the sea engulfs us, and the light goes out. Last year, I attended a Families Together rally in Newark, New Jersey. Actually, I was a volunteer. So I got there early in the morning, and a woman who seemed like she was in charge quickly recruited me to be a marshal. I got a yellow vest, but hardly any instruction on how to be a marshal. Nevertheless, more and more people are coming to the rally, and the energy is so positive. People are chanting things like, 1, no border walls, 2, no kids in cages, 3, no separation for our people. 1, no border walls, 2, no kids in cages, 3, no separation for our people. 1, no border walls, 2, no kids in cages, 3, no separation for our people. It felt so good to be surrounded by people who felt as strongly as I did about what was happening at the U.S.-Mexican border. All right, so we're about to march. Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you have volunteered to do something and somebody in charge pisses you off? All right. So, yeah. So we got this mass of people, and the people are slowly starting to march. And the woman in charge is walking against the crowd, yelling at the top of her lungs at the marshals, "You have to keep your arms outstretched like this." And then she walks up to me, snatches the protest sign out of my hand, and says, "You are not allowed to have a sign." And then she walks off in this direction toward other marshals. I was stunned. I was speechless. Once I caught my breath, I turned in the direction she had walked. And guess what I saw? Other yellow-vested marshals who happened to be white women with protest signs. Yeah, I was pissed. The long and the short of it is, I felt a lot of things. I felt angry, sad. I felt alone, humiliated. I mean, I wanted to go home. I wanted to just leave. You know, this sign snatching incident left me feeling awful. And then I thought, how in God's name would I feel if somebody snatched my child? And like that, I remembered why I was there, to stand in protest, to try to make intentional change. And then I heard Senator Cory Booker's voice. And so today, we stand up for freedom. We stand up for love. We stand up for love over hate. We stand up for love over ego. We stand up for love over separation. We stand up for love over barriers. We stand up for love over borders. We stand up for love over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. Over and over and over again. We are a nation that knows we cannot denigrate people. We must elevate people. We cannot separate people. We must unite People, we must unite. People, we must unite. People. And so, this is a moral moment in America, like it was when they used to subject children to sweatshops. A moral moment in America, like it was when they used to deny women the right to vote. A moral moment in America, like it was when they used to deny African Americans civil rights and voting rights. A moral moment in America, like it was long ago in Alabama. Delia Garlic, former slave. Babies were snatched from their mother's breasts and sold to speculators. I could tell you about it all day. Even then, you couldn't guess the awfulness of it. A moral moment in America, like it was beginning in the late 1800s when Native American children were forcibly removed from their families, from their homes, to be educated. This often meant tearing them from the arms of a mother or a grandmother. A moral moment in America, like it was when the FDR administration forced Japanese Americans into concentration camps. Over half were children. A moral moment like today, where routinely lies are held up as the truth. Where about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, on November 27th, we learned that the United States government knew from the very beginning that it was not capable of keeping track of the families who were being separated at the border, but went forward with that practice anyway, with no regard or concern for the trauma these people would experience, particularly the children. How do you say to your child in the night, nothing's all black, and nothing's all white? How do you say it'll all be alright when you know that it mightn't be true? What do you do? Careful the things you say, children will listen. Careful the things you do, children will see and learn. hear people say, be the change that you want to see in the world. And I find myself thinking about that. What is it, I don't know, what is the change that I want to see? Who do I want to be? And I know that I want to be kind. I want to practice kindness. I want to see kindness. But kindness is tricky because people often mistake it for weakness. Naomi Shihab Nye wrote, "Before you know what kindness really is, you must lose things. Feel the future dissolve in a moment, like salt in a weakened broth. What you held in your hands, what you counted and carefully saved, all this must go. So you know how desolate the landscape can be between the regions of kindness. How you ride and ride, thinking the bus will never stop. The passengers eating their maize and chicken will stare out the window forever. Before you learn the tender gravity of kindness, you must travel where the Indian in a white poncho lies dead by the side of the road. You must see how this could be you. How he too was someone who journeyed through the night with plans and the simple breath that kept him alive. Before you know kindness as the deepest thing inside, you must know sorrow as the other deepest thing. You must wake up with sorrow. You must speak to it till your voice catches the thread of all sorrows and you see the size of the cloth. Then it is only kindness that makes sense anymore. Only kindness that ties your shoes and sends you out into the day to gaze at bread. Only kindness that raises its head from the crowd of the world to say, "It is I you have been looking for," and then goes with you everywhere, like a shadow or a friend. Take a little time out of your busy day to give encouragement to someone who's lost the way. Would I be talking to a stone if I asked you to share a problem that's not your own? If you see an old friend on the street and he's down, remember his shoes could fit your feet. Try a little kindness and you will see it's something that comes very naturally. winds up knocking me back down on my knees. There have been times when I thought I wouldn't last for long, but now I think I'm able to carry on. It's been a long, 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 long time coming, but I know change gon' come. Oh, yes, it will. Maya Angelou wrote, "Lift up your faces. You have a piercing need for this bright morning dawning for you. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived, but if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Here, on the pulse of this fine day, you may have the courage to look up and out and upon me, the rock, the river, the tree, your country. Here, on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face, your country, and say simply, very simply, with hope, good morning.